Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, or good night, wherever you are. Please do not sue us, Truman Show, which is also one of my favorite movies of all time. Folks, you are here with me, myself, and I, but also with Dan, the Mr. Maybe from Big Orange Heart. We also have Valentin here from Omniconvert, whose setup is rather cool. I'm not sure if he had an earthquake recently, but his bookshelf looked a little bit wobbly. We also have Zach. Hey, Zach, how you doing? That is one glorious beard. And we also have Jonathan, who promises he's read every single book behind him. Haven't you, Jonathan?
These are my work in progress ones, actually.
I'm impressed. Yeah. Well, are you reading them all at once?
About 10 at a time.
That's quite impressive. So that's a whole other show on how to multi-read books. Folks, we are talking e-commerce. We have a whole range of questions lined up here for our experts. Please also let us know if you have any questions if you are watching live, because it'd be great to put these guys on the spot and pick their brain and try and figure out what we've got coming for the future in e-commerce. Because let's face it, if we dare look back for the last year or two, the whole world's kind of changed and e-commerce has kind of become very important. Me and my wife were having coffee today and we were talking about what we needed for the house. And in maybe 2 years ago, we'd have gone out to the local store to buy it. I bought it in 3 seconds on Amazon, which is kind of scary, but we can make quick decisions like that. So what is going to be happening with the future? We're going to be looking at WordPress. We're also going to be looking at more bigger tech as well, including a question that's lined up all about Facebook Meta, which freaks me out, and I'm pretty sure it's Skynet in disguise. So enough of me. First of all, let's go round the screen, and we'll start with Dan. Can each of you introduce yourself and let us know your areas of expertise? So we'll go Dan, Valentin, Zach, and then Jonathan. Go, Dan.
Sure. Thank you, Lee. Appreciate the opportunity to come and chat with you. My name is Dan Maybe. I am the founder of Big Orange Heart, which is a registered charity supporting and promoting mental health within remote working communities. I'm also the founder of a digital agency, Blue 37, where we deliver e-commerce products for our clients.
Fantastic. Valentin.
I'm Valentin. I'm excited to be here with you. I'm obsessed about customer lifetime value. I think the companies should start to treat their customers better, because the competitions and the cookie and whatever, all that is happening is forcing us to actually care about our customers. And I'm the CEO and founder at Omniconvert, a former e-commerce entrepreneur. And let's get this party started.
Zach, over to you.
Okay, I'm Zach Stepek. I'm the CEO of MightySwarm. We are an unagency that focuses on building custom teams around specialized e-commerce projects.
Awesome. Do you also do custom mixes as well? I just spotted the keyboard.
You know, I am a musician. I play keys, a little bit of guitar.
Mate, brother from another mother. And then Jonathan.
Hey, I'm Jonathan Wold. I love WordPress. I've been in the space full time for about 17 years. I lead partnerships over at PostStatus. And I think WordPress is just getting started. I'm excited to see what happens next.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into the nitty gritty. We've got some pretty cool questions lined up. And our first question is all about crypto. Will crypto change how we take payments, and how might that impact e-commerce store owners? Now, I don't have anyone particular to pick on, but because you profess a love for WordPress and WooCommerce is big on this list, Jonathan, do you mind just taking this one first?
Sure, I'm happy to. So first, I'll call out a bias. I am optimistic about what crypto represents. I'm still kind of pessimistic about the short-term application of it. Yeah. So like, to me, I'm more medium-term on this. And the way that I think about it, I love the decentralized nature, or the decentralized aspect of what crypto represents. And I think we're going to see more going that direction. There is a lot of opportunity in this space, and I think we're going to see changes. When the context of just looking at the next year, though, I don't know. I don't know how much we're going to see. I personally feel like I'm a year or two off before starting to take it more seriously, and there's opportunity there, but I'm really curious to hear what the rest of you guys think.
Yeah, me too. Anyone else want to jump in on this?
Yeah, you know, I think that crypto is going to become increasingly relevant as a payment option. I don't think it's going to become the default anytime in the near future, especially not in 2022. But what I do think is going to, in the payment space, be more impactful in 2022 is the rise of expedited payment options, payment services that make it easier to remove the friction between having a full cart and being checked out.
Expedited payment. Well, I think Apple's got me though there, mate, to be honest, because whenever I'm on a website and it says pay with Apple Pay, it is so quick to just go double tap on the side and show my face and I've bought it, and then I get buyer's remorse. How about you, Valentin? Any thoughts on crypto in this space?
So the other days I've seen VFriends, which is a shop which is put up by Gary Vaynerchuk. He's drawing some, my perception, shitty stuff, which he's selling for about between 80 to 90 ETH per each of these drawings. There's also the happening of it with him drawing about it. So my perception is that this meta stuff is taking over. My perception is that the perception of the humanity is being affected about what's happening here. We have a lot of people which are filthy rich in crypto right now.
Yeah.
I'm not one of them, but I've made a few bucks myself because I've been inspired enough in 2017. But what I think is that the e-commerce companies will start more to invest into accepting this type of payments, and I think it's stupid not to do so. And I also think it's stupid not to ride the wave of producing something which is valuable for this set of buyers.
Yeah.
However, I also think that we're crazy. Something crazy is happening. And, my perception is that we need to, let's say, go in the inside more and to understand who we are and what we want to do, because mainly these zeros, which are starting to be like tokens in some game, are happening, are there, you know. And this Ready Player One, if you know that movie, is going to be real in a few years.
Yeah, that's kind of scary. It's a pretty good movie, though. I would highly recommend anyone watch that. Dan, any experience yourself with crypto yet and e-commerce?
Yeah, it's similar. I think similar to the others here. I've dabbled. We're actually in a situation right now where we're implementing the ability to make donations via crypto through Big Orange Heart. I certainly think we move forward with it as an option, but I feel very similar. I can't see 2022 being the year that we all transition across over to. Yeah. But again, I love the decentralized nature of many of these tokens and currencies. So I'm fully kind of for the theory behind it, but there are certainly a number of challenges ahead of us before I think this becomes widely adopted.
I think all for the decentralization. Valentin mentioned the NFTs. I haven't a clue what these NFTs are still, and I have watched so many freaking videos, and I still don't understand it. I do understand cryptocurrency, but I do think that not the entire world, but a large percentage of the world still is at the bit of trying to understand crypto. So I think so far we're saying 2022 is probably not the year, but we should probably start planning for it. Yes, Jonathan.
And to the point that Valentin made, I think it is important to acknowledge and consider riding the wave. Like, it's a good point, right? Like, I'm not optimistic about just like a wholesale conversion to it. I think there's a lot of questions that we still need to answer. Infrastructure needs to be built. At the same time, especially as a store owner, as long as you don't have any like deep-rooted hesitation, ride the wave, enjoy it. There's definitely something there.
Speculate, but don't put your house on it, guys.
Don't put your no. Yeah, don't do that.
Don't put your house.
I think there's some really interesting stuff around the kind of the web monetization side of it. How do we monetize our content? We've had years of being blasted with adverts through hitting every site, and how do we come away from that? Because that's an awful experience for everybody. And I think there's something in that. If we look at the likes of the Brave browser, the way that's monetizing the content, I think there's some really exciting opportunities ahead of us.
Well, we've got a good question lined up for us next, guys, and this is all around the Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And do you think we're going to see a rise or a fall in the amount of sales during Black Friday / Cyber Monday in this post, or I guess current COVID world. And I'm thinking here that 2 years ago we would all go crazy for the Black Friday deals. We've now been stuck at home, and every weekend is like Thanksgiving. So what do you guys think? Valentin, I reckon we pick on you first for this one. What do you think? Are we going to see an increase or a decrease, or just a static in sales for Black Friday, Cyber Monday?
Yeah, I would go for the increase because it's well, there are a lot of money. The American government, the US government, has given us this nice inflation, and we have a lot of money. There are a lot of money in the e-commerce. There are a lot of stuff. So my take is that it's going to be a growth. It's not going to be fantastic, but growth is going to happen, and some things are still going to be hit by this inflation.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because money has become very cheap to borrow right now. Even here in the UK, as a UK business, we've been able to borrow money at, say, 1%, which is kind of a ridiculous price. Yeah. Jonathan, I think you had something to add. You kind of moved.
I was just acknowledging it. I am also curious to see how this goes. I would predict that we're going to see more interest in the Cyber Monday part of it than Black Friday, but who knows? It's going to be wild.
Yeah, I do often think that Black Friday's kind of got a little bit of a bad name for itself. And actually, Valentin mentioned the humanity of everything. When you see the images of people charging towards those TVs and fighting each other, at least Cyber Monday feels a little bit more civilized because we're all behind our computers, just purchasing licenses, etc. Dan, how about yourself? What are your thoughts? Increase, decrease? What's your prediction? You don't have to be right.
I think we will see an increase. I don't think it'll be meteoric. I think it'll be a fairly trivial in comparison to previous years. I think part of the problem that we're facing is it's overuse. I think we're seeing Black Friday month now. I mean, it's is that a thing? The lead up time into it is just extending.
I got the first emails like 2 weeks ago from.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Well.
Okay. I decided to do a Black Friday deal this morning because somebody emailed me saying, "Hey, are you doing one? Because I'll put it on my website if you do." Zach, how about you? Which way are we going, do you think?
So I think that we're going to see a decline in the traditional retailers using Black Friday as a gimmick.
Yeah.
We already saw the announcement that Walmart is closing their doors for Black Friday this year. So we're going to be. Yeah, that's a huge move. We're going to be seeing, I think, a move toward retailers less emphasis on Black Friday, but online retailers will have more emphasis. And we have Black November now because why not? Why not just start everything on November 1st? Start the sales early. All the retailers have done this too. Black Friday deals have been happening at Best Buy and Amazon since the beginning of the month.
Yeah. It is rather insane, I think, to be honest. I'm going to give my prediction. I think, just to be different, but I thought this anyway, I think we're actually going to see a decline. I'm wondering if people have gotten a little bit jaded by everything. So, for example, myself, I'm pretty jaded with social media because I've been on it now for like 2 years because I don't know how else to communicate with everyone. The government won't let me. And I'm almost wondering as well whether or not people are going to be like, well, I can buy this anytime. Do I really need this right now? So I'm going to go for a decrease. And then when somebody's got the stats, I don't know what the prize is.
But we're all biased here. Just
one of us will be a winner. That's true.
Right. Yeah.
I've got one for our WordPress aficionados, specifically Dan and John, although guys, Zach, Valentin, do jump in on this one as well. But how, in your experience, if you've been using WooCommerce, how do you feel it's evolving to assist online store owners in the future? And I guess as well, for a little bit of context, WooCommerce has really had to catch up because all of a sudden there has been all of these bricks and mortar businesses who realize they're going to have to get online in some manner. And 2 years ago, me as a professional web developer still found WooCommerce an extremely complex beast to set up. So Lord knows what the standard bricks and mortar businesses are feeling. John, can we go with you first, Jonathan? Because you've got a WooCommerce t-shirt on, so it's almost like you're asking for this question.
Oh man, that's a loaded question. I think there's two categories to consider in terms of involvement. The first is how WooCommerce itself is evolving, and the investments that the WooCommerce team are making and kind of what's happening there. And there's also the ecosystem as a whole and how it's evolving. And so first, if it wasn't obvious, I hold WooCommerce in kind of a dear place in my heart. And it's I think overall though, there's this just trying to keep up sense with WooCommerce, the product. There's a lot of fantastic people working on it. They're doing a lot of, they're making a lot of progress. There's some really positive trends. Yet overall, I'd say it's working hard to achieve par for the course in terms of the store owner experience, right? What makes Woo really strong today is the strength of the ecosystem as a whole. Folks like Zach and others are helping store owners get these things figured out. People are drawn to Woo for its flexibility, for that sense of ownership, and for the community. That's all strong today. It needs to continue to evolve, though. There's a lot of pressure there, and it's positive pressure. And so, yeah, it's gonna be interesting because there's so many things that could be focused on. I'm expecting Woo to become more focused on the new beginner or the new store owner experience, Woo the product, and the ecosystem will do more of that as well. But I think 2022 is going to be quite exciting for WooCommerce.
Zach, over to you, mate, because you have run some of the largest WooCommerce stores in the world, of which I just found out. So I thought I would let you in on this as well.
So, yeah, there are some really interesting things happening with WooCommerce. If you look at their trend of acquisition over the last year, year and a half, you look at acquiring MailPoet and acquiring other tools that may not live inside the WordPress instance, but that help to make a store more efficient, make it more effective from a marketing standpoint without increasing the load on WordPress itself. You'll start to see that there's a strategy emerging where we offload the things that we don't need to have run in WordPress, and even WooCommerce themselves are starting to adopt that same strategy, which I think is great. The other thing that I think we'll see is that the teams are starting to, inside WooCommerce, think about both sides of the experience. So Jonathan mentioned the onboarding of a new store owner, somebody who is just getting started as a WooCommerce store owner. The other side of that is large retailers that WooCommerce may not even know are using WooCommerce just because of the nature of open source. And they're starting to focus on building out customer success in that space as well. So I think it'll continue to be a platform of choice for people who want to own their data, who want to have control of how their store runs, who don't want to be tied to a black box that they don't control.
Yeah. Thank you, buddy. And Dan as well, yourself, especially with running a Big Orange Heart, and you're taking donations online, I believe, through WooCommerce.
We're not actually, but I love what
I'm misinformed.
Zach, I love what you're speaking into there, Zach, in terms of the kind of the offloading of the services, because I think the a decoupled instance, a decoupled WordPress instance, offloading the e-commerce side is a really exciting space, because we want to be able to start using latest technologies for things like mobile apps, and you want a unified experience for your users. However, you obviously don't want multiple places for you to be able to to be managing your online presence, so or your online store. So I think this the idea of focusing around the decoupled approach towards WooCommerce is something we're particularly excited about.
Yeah, no, they're very good points. And again, sorry, Zach, I hadn't realized your background, so thank you so much as well for the insight there. For me, we've not been doing too much now with WooCommerce. We've been exploring some of the other online services. So Zach had mentioned, owning your data. For us, we've actually been exploring some of the online providers of e-commerce solutions to see what they've got to offer. So again, testing Shopify, testing Webflow, dare we say those names. And I have to admit, it has been a frustration using those third-party services. It's great to know that they're looking after the data and they're covering this, that, and the other. But actually, in the grand scheme of things, we miss the WooCommerce infrastructure. We miss the ability to make it do what we want it to do. And we also miss, I think most importantly, the massive community. I mean, just the fact that one of us is wearing a WooCommerce t-shirt right now is testament to how there is this lovely community around the product. So I'm pretty sure I will be creating a podcast about why we came back at some point, which is awesome. Now, Valentin, I've been told to give you a very specific question. And I'm going to be honest here. It sounds super tech for my brain, but anyone else, please do jump in as well. But our question here is, how is AI assisted upselling impacting average CROs of different industries?
That's a good one. Yeah.
Over to you then, man.
Yeah. There is one thing which is called the cognitive bias. There are a lot of cognitive biases, and we as human beings are being affected by the fact that our brains are having all sorts of errors, right? So we are trapped by the way our brains are working. And AI is going to help us to exploit this cognitive bias. I mean, help us, by us meaning the e-commerce, whatever, professionals, people, these evil guys which are trying to improve the revenue per visitor. We've actually built a technology on this topic. The problem is that so these prompts that are catching up things that people are actually doing on the website, and that are making people fall into all sorts of traps, like confirmation bias, right? So you have an AI which is asking you something, and if you answer that something, you are being prompted to continue the customer journey. Or there is this the ugly brother technique where AI is learning what type of offers should be put in contrast so that you go for buying a certain product. So what I've noticed though is that this is working for the big guys. I mean, the ones that are having a lot of traffic. So
yeah,
in the future, the conversion rate is going to definitely be affected by this type of AI prompts and layouts which are being decided by through the help of machine learning, because I don't think we are there yet in terms of the AI. It's too much to say AI. It's actually machine learning. And it was that funny thing, with that. I don't know if you've seen this meme with the guy which was taking the hat of which was written AI, and at the end of the day it was if this then that.
If this then that.
Yeah. So it's still conditional logic behind it. However, the big guys will get bigger. The small guys will try their best, but we are seeing that Amazon, Alibaba, whatever is winning the e-commerce game, and the challengers will need to diversify the ways that they are persuading their customers. Unfortunately, machine learning is not going to be a tool yet in the hands of the small and mid-size companies.
Zach, with your larger websites, what would your thoughts be on this?
So I don't think this is something that is really going to be limited long-term to the larger players. What we're starting to see is the ability to collect data related to customer behavior over time. And that's really where these AI solutions start to take hold and actually be able to work effectively, is when you have a certain amount of data on what your users are doing, where they're coming from, right? And this is getting harder with browsers increasing and hardening security for things like cookies and personalization in that regard. So we have to increasingly rely on what our store knows. So we have to rely on what our store knows about our customers, what we know about our customer base as a whole, and then we can customize based on those metrics. And those things can be tracked in a number of ways. Even just personalizing WordPress can be done with something like if so or right message, so that you are getting the right messaging in front of the customer you're trying to. So when people visit your homepage, they're getting a message based on what market segment they fall into, or what search engine search terms they used to get to that page. And that's going to become increasingly important. People are looking for that personalized experience, and just giving them a little piece of that differentiates you from your competitors.
Yeah.
I think it affects average conversion rate optimization across all industries, simply because the more a person as a buyer thinks you're talking to them directly, the more likely they are to convert. You're reducing friction.
That's also, though, for me, I found a bad thing, because I end up spending more money than I really planned to. And I'm actually seeing this happen more. So I think there needs to be a whole other part of the internet to help people like me not be suckered into all of the extras and the upsells, because I am pretty... I'm your perfect customer, basically. If you've got an e-commerce website, send me in your direction, because I'll think I need everything. Jonathan, I feel like you got a funny quip there to add. I can see your face.
Is it really a bad thing, though?
I don't know. It is for me.
The more the better, right?
Yeah, I know. But then I suppose there's also the ethics of it, isn't there, as well? I mean, Dan, have you any thoughts on that as well? Just ethically, do you feel that this sort of AI learning, is it manipulative, or is it just, like Zach said, giving the customer the personalized experience they wanted?
If you're diving into the ethics of this, it gets very, very tricky very, very quickly.
Yeah.
I'm all for this idea of personalization and how do we create a personal experience, but of course that is very much intrusive in terms of our personal data and our personal information.
Yeah.
So it's a very difficult space to get into when you get into the ethics side of it. I love the idea of using augmented reality to help your shopping experience, and introducing these new technologies, and how do we best use them in that sales pipeline.
Yeah. Don't say too much about that, because we've actually got a question about AR coming up. So if you're watching live, don't go anywhere. That's a good question. Our next question here is all around live commerce, and anyone feel free to jump in. But how can live commerce help online stores deliver improved customer experience? So have a think, and who wants to lead with an answer on this? Live commerce helping online stores deliver improved customer experience.
Maybe a point of clarification. What's the opposite? What's not live commerce?
Static.
What's
Static commerce.
commerce?
Where it's like you do real-time streaming, where you are supposed to sell things like in the good old teleshopping, right?
Okay, I got
this
you.
thing over here, and it's like this and whatever, and that's all teleshopping. That's all that it is, live shopping right now. And you have you prepare a movie which you can't interact with. So maybe you put on the products there on the homepage or on the landing page, and you can't pretty much do anything about it, because the people which are getting on the website, they are doing this and that. My perception about live commerce is that it's a thing. I don't know if you knew this. There is this guy in China. I recently put it in my newsletter. I don't remember the name. It's Lee something, and he's an influencer, and all the cosmetics companies are being threatened by this guy, because he said something when he's starting. He's saying, "Okay, girls," and when he's starting, he's testing out lipsticks, right? He's the world record guy. He used 350 lipsticks in 10 minutes.
Wow.
He's doing this type of live commerce, and he's selling like crazy. I mean, having 300 million people following your thing, it's something. So if you're L'Oreal and you want to sell in China, you need to know this guy. So this type of live commerce plus influential is going to be a thing. I think the e-commerce companies which are having enough traffic could build something like a prompt. So instead of doing every time live commerce, on Black Friday you can do live commerce. So you can have a host, you can have like an artist or a sports guy or whatever influential person that can be associated with your brand, and that can describe the latest products that you want to sell. And if you want to build we're all in the game of changing customer behavior, and customer experience means how the customers are going to behave pre and post purchase. So at the end of the day, if you can ride this new wave of live commerce, I think you're in the right spot, because having an influential person, having this live commerce and using the BJ Fogg's consumer behavior method, which means motivation, which means, okay, you have good products and you have a good offer. Then ability, meaning, yes, I can buy it right now online. And the prompt is the problem. And if you have a weekly show, which is live commerce every Friday at 8 p.m., girls, let's buy lipstick. I think that's a winning method.
But you're not saying we have to do lipstick, of course. We could kind of use our own products, of course. And actually, I noticed on Amazon have actually started doing this on certain products. They have videos, but they also had live streams of certain products at certain points as well as an experiment on the Amazon website. So that kind of speaks as well, Valentin, to your traffic. I mean, for me to do a live stream on my WooCommerce store, which maybe gets 100 visitors a month, is not going to be a great idea. But I can still create that kind of QVC shopping experience, as it were, via Facebook. And one of my most successful sales for myself was live streaming the launch of my membership, and we sold absolutely tons of memberships via that, more than we ever then sold through just standard campaigns, click-through campaigns with landing pages and static videos that you just can't control. The live stream was very much an interactive conversation. Now, kind of circling back, guys, we talked on personalization or, on AI, etc. But there is also something called hyper personalization. How does hyper personalization add to an e-commerce store's growth? And Valentin, I feel like you could speak into this first off, if you don't mind me picking on you again, because this feels like you're kind of ball court here.
Yeah, I'm doing this type of stuff, and I want to give you a backstory, how I got into personalization. And I think this is going to be an interesting story. Time machine, back in 2010, I was doing the e-commerce, we were selling online car insurance. We were comparing codes from different insurance companies, Bucharest, Romania. We were struggling to make use of Google AdWords. My friends were mocking me because they were having these well-paid jobs, and we were having 60 employees, and we were not even breaking even for months in a row. So because of this struggle, I wanted to see how can we do something about this traffic that we already have. So I dived into the data. I looked over which are the best customers that we got out there, and we've looked at the car makers, and we got Hondas, we've got Lexus, we've got trucks, and we looked at how much of the revenue is coming from these car makers. And the surprise was there. We were getting something like 12% of the customers. They were making 60% of the margin. And we said, yeah, let's do something about it. And that something was changing the images with your Honda. You've got your Honda CR-V, and it was there. And it was like an instant gratification. Yeah, I want to insure my Honda. People love their cars. And then with the truck drivers, we've realized that we need to personalize their price in real time. And forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. So mainly all the competitors couldn't match our offering because we weren't doing 5% discount to all the customers, but we were doing something like 12% discount in real time if you wanted to insure to buy car insurance for your truck. Down the line, this turned out to be such a good idea that we made it to 250,000 customers. Of course, my friends are not mocking me anymore, and this got to building a whole company around improving customer lifetime value and conversion rate, thanks to this type of the technology that we've built. So hyper personalization can truly help the revenue growth of a store. The idea is to be relevant with this personalization, because there are also crappy ways to personalize a website. Like we tried that weather condition. I mean, if it's raining outside, yeah, if you sell umbrellas or bikinis, you can go with that. But if you sell something which is not affected by the weather, you can't make it happen. So my perception is that RFM segmentation is the best to use in order to personalize the experience, because you know the customer lifetime value, you know the purchase behavior, you know what they've bought, and in real time you can personalize the website according to first party data. That's the best.
First party, yeah.
Anyone else? Any thoughts? And I was actually quite amused by the idea there of ensuring you know what the weather is like outside, just so you can put the right things on the screen. And I wonder whether Amazon do that very often. For example, we'll open up Amazon and exactly what we're either talking about or that's relevant to the season will be appearing on there. Like, in summer, I remember we had been talking about getting a garden patio set. I kid you not, the next 5 minutes later, we're on Amazon and we're seeing those patio sets. That's kind of spooky.
It's just your confirmation bias. It's okay.
I know that. I listen to the Skeptoid podcast.
I just wanted to add to what Valentin was saying.
Sure.
I love the focus at the end of the day, because as you have more technologies available to you, the focus on who are my customers and what problems do they have that I can solve for them, and just focusing on how do I give them a better and better experience, right? Yeah. And ultimately, like showing them their product or customizing prices in real time when you know that that's something that's the right thing for that particular audience. Those are all things that are in service and answers to that bigger question of being clear on who am I here to serve and what problem am I solving for them. And then ultimately, all these technology options are just things available to us to do that. And I think if you stay focused on that, because as a store owner, it's easy to get overwhelmed with all the different options and choices and things that you could do. Just take a step back and say, who are my customers and what problem am I solving for them? And let that be the lens that filters what choices you make in terms of technology and aspects of personalization.
I think as well that speaks into the bigger kind of question that's too big, I think, for this conversation. But there is also then the ethics again, isn't there, where you and Zach are highlighting how you are focusing on the customer and how to give the customer the best experience, etc. This isn't about making as much money as you can from people, but this is actually about getting them what they want so that they have a good customer experience and they come back in the future when they need you for whatever the next stage is of, that be it a physical purchase or be it a service purchase. I think this works kind of in both those aspects.
And it turns out that that's also good for business.
It turns out it
Absolutely. Yeah, the industry I've seen the most hyper-personalization use in is the fashion industry. And one of the things that I find very interesting is just a few short years ago, if you wanted to get a custom-made dress shirt, you would go to a tailor, basically. You'd go to Men's Warehouse or you'd go to a local tailor and you'd get measured and you'd get a custom dress shirt made for you, and it would take weeks to get back to you. And then companies like Proper Cloth came out. And you can get your fitting from anywhere in the world and you can design your own shirt exactly the way you want it.
Yeah.
And with the colors you want and the patterns you want, and then they make it and they send it to you. And the prices are approximately the same. But you're getting hyper-personalized products that are made just for you, measured to you, and you don't have to go to a tailor to get that done anymore and customize an existing shirt. It's being stitched for you.
Yeah, I saw that the other day. It was targeted to me on an advert, and I could put in all sorts of specific measurements. and that was it. They would tell me exactly what size I needed to purchase, because that's one of the most stressful things. In fact, I was on your store the other day, Dan, trying to figure out what hat to get, what t-shirt to order, and I ended up not ordering the t-shirt because I'm one of those guys who wants to be a large and has to order an extra large, but then sometimes the extra large is like a dressing gown. It's just huge, and I can't win.
I mean, I think a lot of what we've touched on today in this discussion has been around personalization.
Yeah. And
as a non-profit, we often come up against some unique challenges there. And what we decided to do around each donation that we were receiving for a period, we would actually send a short 10, 20-second personalized video to every single individual that was making a donation into the organization. And the return on those was incredible. We ended up with a lot of individuals would end up being repeat donors. Maybe. And it was by far the greatest response we ever received from individuals each time those videos went out. And how do we in a virtual environment, a digital environment, create a sense of personality of our brand? We need to make sure that there's a connection with our buyers.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of connection and virtualization, and we are kind of still, even here in the UK, I'm watching the news with hints there could be a lockdown, but they might not be. Everyone needs to go and get their boosters, etc. So no one ever knows what's going on. And then we have Mr. Zuckerberg mentioning Meta and renaming the business. With the introduction of said Meta, how is AR going to revolutionize the shopping experience? Who'd like to start with this?
Well, I think we're increasingly seeing people who don't want to go shop in a store, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether it's related to the pandemic or just related to social anxiety and not wanting to deal with a crowded store full of people during the holidays. And the ability to use AR to see what something might look like in a room, or to basically project it in front of you so that you can get a feel for what it might look like in the person's room you're buying it for, just changes the game as far as what you can do through an e-commerce store. Instead of just looking at images, you're putting it in a place relative to the environment that person normally lives in or works in. And that's a huge differentiator as a store. And I think will increase conversion drastically.
Absolutely. We are making a purchasing decision for a sofa based exactly on that. We're holding up our iPhones to the corner of the room to see how we thought it was going to look. And I don't know if I'm right, but it does feel like it's still a little bit in its infancy, because we had to have a few goes until it stopped floating in the middle of the air and eventually settled on the floor where it needed to be. But once we could visualize what that sofa was going to look like, that helped us over the line. I mean, guys, is there anything for WooCommerce or WordPress in general that would help the general store owner take advantage of that sort of tech? Or are we beholden to the big Metas of the world who have all the money and the people?
Well, I'm not aware of any specific solutions off the top of my head. Anyone else jump in? It is only inevitable, though. Like that's one of the things about the internet broadly, is that these things don't stay reserved to the proverbial giants for that long, because there is so much opportunity in this space. There's so many installs. Like if there aren't good solutions today and entrepreneurs are listening, this is the opportunity. And I think people see this already, to build these things, because you have such access to addressable markets, both on the proprietary platforms like Shopify and on the open source platforms like WooCommerce and WordPress. So I think we are going to see a lot more of this become accessible. Yeah. And I'm really curious to see what people do with it. Some ideas are brilliant. Some it's like, do you really need augmented reality for that?
There are two solutions that I'm aware of off the top of my head, and that's 3Kit has a integration with WooCommerce. That they're a 3D and AR company. They're focused on 3D product visualization. And then there is an extension on the WooCommerce marketplace called Cart Magician Pro that lets you do AR inside your WooCommerce store as well.
Well, that's phenomenal. I was not aware of either of those.
Yeah, I just taken a very quick search, and there is a AR for WooCommerce plugin as well in the WordPress repo.
I suppose you weren't actually meant to admit you did a search. You were meant to go, yeah, I know this one. That's awesome. Well, guys, we're coming into land, and we've covered an awful lot. We've covered personalization, hyper personalization. We've covered augmented reality. We've covered crypto as well, of all things. But what I would really love as we wrap up this lovely 45 minutes with you is your 30-second kind of top tips even, or hacks for our online store owners coming up to 2022. So this is our last minute hacks for next year and for now, for the upcoming Black Friday, Cyber Monday. What would great hacks be? Can we start with the man Zach? Would be awesome. Any hacks that you would recommend either for BCFM, I can never say that the right way around, you know what I mean, and or for 2022?
Sure. So a lot of what I talk about is differentiation. So when consumers have a choice of where they want to spend their money, we want to make sure that they spend it with us. And we can do that by either turning towards sustainable goods and telling a story there, or having a story about a mission that our products are on, or even just through being better at executing than our competitors, having customized packaging, having video that's engaging, that gets customers involved. All of these things differentiate. So if you can differentiate, you win in this market.
Differentiate and you can win in this market. Valentin, have you any thoughts on this? Any last minute hacks?
Yeah, the thing is like this. If you're an e-commerce owner at this moment, you can't outsource customer research. You can't outsource learning about your own customers. So you need to learn. That's the first hack. The second hack is that there is a thing which I call the e-commerce growth flywheel. I've thought a lot about this, and I've actually built a whole online academy around this. The e-commerce growth flywheel is like this. You pour money into ads, you attract customers, the customers will buy, and then with those money, you will pour more money into ads so that and that's the simple flywheel. The next flywheel, which almost 90% of the companies out there are ignoring, is that once the customers are getting the products, you see if the customers are happy. If they are not happy, then you should fix your customer journey or your products or your marketing. If they are happy, they will come back, they will buy again, and they will amplify your brand, because that's the network effect. So the growth flywheel should include customer happiness so that you can have them coming back. And if you don't measure what matters, then you will not be able to level up your game, because the ads are expensive and there are a lot of competitors in this space. That's my hacks.
If you don't measure, you will struggle to measure up. How about you, Jonathan?
I think the big thing, there's so many options out there, and it can be overwhelming at times. Yet I would encourage store owners to just be really curious, especially as you get down to the wire, as we get closer to that last minute context. You might not want to be curious about what's out there and just kind of stick with what you have, but take a little bit of time at least to be curious and see, all right, what are things that I could be doing? What are folks saying about what's possible that I can provide better experiences to my customers? In general, with technology, you can make decisions pretty quickly about turning something on, trying something different. And I just encourage store owners, as you're coming into the holidays where there's more expectations, be curious about things and expand your possibilities. You'll have to make a filtering decision. Oftentimes, though, people are too quick to do that, and they don't ask enough questions about what's possible, and they can end up missing something really obvious that if they'd known, like, oh, well, this is a great way to provide a better experience. So as you're considering what's possible, or as you're looking at what you're going to do next, be curious so that to broaden the possibilities available to you.
Be curious to broaden your horizons, but be careful of the rabbit holes, I think you were saying. Yeah, absolutely. Dan, can I throw you in the spot as we're coming into land here?
Sure.
Any hacks for
I
BCFM
think,
and the Lassie, etc.? Carry on, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing new in this, but I think optimization is something that we really need to focus on. There's two aspects to that. There's the optimization of the sites themselves. We want to make sure if we're investing dollars in advertising and getting click-throughs to the sites, we want to make sure that experience is fast and you're getting individuals, prospects and sales through to your cart. But of course, you also want to be optimizing the cart itself. We want to be reducing the number of clicks. We want to be making sure that those individuals can get through from the ad to the purchase, as quickly and as smoothly as possible.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And guys, I don't really have a hack, but I do want to show you something that I thought was incredibly cool, and it's not very technical, but I'm into the Amiga in a big way, like I'm an old retro tech head, and they sent this really nice printed, smells amazing piece of paper with with one of the purchases that I made, and then I instantly went to their website and I've now bought a whole load more stuff. So sometimes there's a little bit of good old-fashioned nice smelling well printed paper when you send your package can really help with people like me who's a sucker for anything like that. So that's my completely non-technical hack. Give people nice smelling paper, because show of hands. Oh, Jonathan's in there as well. Like to smell a book when you open it first time. Yeah, Zach.
Yep.
Love you guys. That's awesome. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We have yet another experience for you coming up in, I think, approximately 30 minutes. It's our panel that will be hosted with the devilishly handsome Brent Weaver. Yes, I do have a slight man crush on him. He will have Sean let's just do first names. We'll have Sean with him from Coded Commerce. He'll have Dayan, the co-founder and CEO of Nitro Pack, and Ronique, the founder at Unlimited WP. They'll be talking predominantly on moving forward with WooCommerce and how store owners could or should adapt in a post-COVID world. So please do join us for that. You can find us over on Facebook. I think we're being streamed on Twitter right now, and also on YouTube. Also on that, guys, don't forget that you can watch all of the replays of all of these conversations over on YouTube or on Facebook. And you know what, guys? I think what would be really great is just to connect with all of our guests one more time and go around the room to find out the best way of connecting with each one of them, and then we'll bid you adieu. Jonathan, can we start with you? What's the best way for our audience to connect with you, mate?
Website, jonathanwold.com, or on Twitter at Sir Jonathan. Nice
one. How about you, Zach?
I am my first initial and last name pretty much everywhere, so at Stepek. You can also find me at MightySwarm.com.
That's a cool name, that is. Valentin, how about you, kind self?
I'm a LinkedIn guy, so you can find me on LinkedIn, Valentin Radu. If you want to see what I'm up to, I'm writing a newsletter. Actually, I'm late on writing it right now. Every Thursday, I give away tips on how to build an e-commerce and how to thrive in e-commerce. And pretty much that's it.
Awesome. Dan, how do we connect with you, buddy?
Pretty much anywhere /Dan Maybe, MABY, and also over on bigorangeheart.org.
Absolutely. And folks, you can connect with me on many of the Cloudways live streams that happen, part of Cloudways Mavericks team. And also, if you want to check out the podcast, that's agencytrailblazer.com. Folks, thank you so much. This has been phenomenal. I've learned loads. If you're watching the replay, please drop us an emoji of some sort and let us know that you watched the replay. If you've watched with us, let us know what your biggest takeaway has been. Don't forget, hang out in about 30 minutes. We've got Brent Weaver looking at the future of WooCommerce. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a great day. Thank you, guys. You're all legends. Cheerio.